Hey, it is August 10th. It's not 1968, but it could be. Yeah, it's my birthday. It's my birthday podcast. It's your birthday. It's your birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
It's August 10th, 2025. And man, you know, we're doing another one out back. We're getting a little bit of late start. We had some somewhat what would you call them?
Good company.
Good company
Yeah,
stopped
Wood Gym
by.
Gathering.
The
Yeah,
best.
Wood Gym Gathering stopped by for some food and some cocktails and grass-fed ribeyes. Went to Whole Foods with my little man Azzy, my grandson, and got food again for it. And we wanted to shoot it up again. And my boy Tony V. Vitello, the baseball coach for, are they managers in college? I think they're coaches. I don't think they're managers in college. I think manager is
In the
pro
MLB.
baseball. And I think he's a coach. He hit me up out of nowhere yesterday and was like, hey, what's up? What's going on? And then I talked to him, and we're going to schedule him for a podcast.
Yeah.
I thought
It's
he
been
was
a
in
long
town.
time.
Yeah, it's
It was
been
like
a long
before he had that big run. I was
Yeah,
just like,
yeah. I think it was like his first year or second year.
Yeah.
He reached out to me when he first got in Knoxville and was like, hey, I heard you're the guy with the baseball guy, but obviously thanks to Ross McHenry, I'm not the baseball guy anymore. So, okay, Ross, we get it. So Tony V's going to come on hopefully next Sunday and do another Sunday dinner. Maybe I'll do the
Looking forward to that.
the gravy, the Italian sausage with the meatballs, my grandmother's
Whoa.
recipe.
Ooh.
Ooh, Tony. Just for Tony V, we'll bring out the good Italian.
Full-blood Italians.
The Italian.
Yeah. Well, when he first got into town in Knoxville, he was like, hey, I heard you're the guy, Petrone, the Italian dude. Where's a good place to eat? And I said, my house. So he'd come over.
Oh, there you
and he was awesome. I mean, the guy talked baseball the whole time. He took his shoes off at the front door. And Tony V said, you know, you could tell he was going to go places with the program, obviously did. So I wanted to circle back.
Yeah.
I had a chance to be on the plane with him last July for Todd Helton's Hall of Fame, guy, Colorado
Okay.
Rockies. For the viewers and listeners don't know that I trained for years, and we got to catch back up on the plane because I don't keep in touch with people much like I need to. And Tony and I caught up, and you know, I think that was right after his NCAA World Series champion, so he was on a whole different level, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, then it went this year. I don't know how they finished this year, super regionals or whatever. And then he just reached out to me. I try to give people space until they want to reach out, and they reach back out. So hopefully we have him on next week. And he said he wanted to be a part of all the festivities that go on
Very
out back with
exciting.
Petrone.
Yeah.
So
I think you might be onto something with Outback.
I'm back with Petrone. I don't know. I
There's
love
a ring
it.
to it.
I really like it, and I love hearing it. When I listen to him on my mountain bike, it keeps me going quicker than any other ones. And I don't know if that's a narcissist in me or not, but I'd like to listen to him of everything we're talking about. With we'll circle back around. This is number 5 of choices and options, boundary ultimatums, and then self-auditing, which we could call self-reflect. Listen to another podcast of self-reflect and pruning.
Yes.
And I think those were all good ones, and I think we've gone all over the map with them. I've had viewers, listeners. I get a lot. I can't even send you all the feedback I get from all. I try to do much of sending you guys what people are saying, but they're all over the place to, hey, you're on to something. Hey, you know, I started thinking about that, and I just wanted to circle back to what's hit me recently this last week is more boundaries than anything. I think it's been calling my name, so I've listened to some more podcasts that talked about boundaries, and I took some notes with it, so it was kind of cool.
How did they talk about it? Like, was it different than how we were talking about it, or sort of similar?
Well, it's
stuff?
funny because phones do listen, and I think I guys sent
They
you
do.
the Proverbs one with the religious lady talking about boundaries or about guarding your heart, and you know that was more black and white biblically of guarding your heart.
What is that? Proverbs 4:23.
Yeah, I
Above
think
all else, guard your heart.
it was something,
From,
yeah,
like
from
all
that
things
lady.
come from it.
Yeah,
That's funny that you said that because the short documentary I got done last year, I start the short doc with that exact verse.
there it is.
So we might be onto something for this episode.
I mean, I think this episode could be really cool because what we get with boundaries, we think they're walls. Like we put a wall up, and they're really not. And boundaries could also be flexible. And I had to study that this week of like, they could change as you change. And it's not rules of where you are, it's in sync of where you are. Like, where are you at the time of this boundary? Because it can change. And it could be, so this one was more, I called it boundaries with flexibility. And I think that was good of like, you're drawing the boundaries for yourself. Because most of the time when people go, hey, I have to draw a boundary, it's because they're too much of a giver and they're getting worn out by giving. And I think that's where I was going with the boundaries.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you can only do what you can do. So, like, your own resources are finite. I know we always talk about like doing more and doing stuff in the gym, but you've also got a lot of people that you have to reel back, and you say they want to overtrain. And so, if you don't have boundaries and your answer to everyone all the time is yes, and you're someone like Charlie or someone like Griff whose talents are in demand, I mean, at a certain point, now you start, the boundaries make themselves clear. You can't do as many projects as you've agreed to, so everyone's getting a lesser product than they would have if you had boundaries, right? So
it's definitely something I struggle with, so I'm really excited to hear your insight on this, because it's not something I'm not very knowledgeable on. So I'm really excited to dive into this, because we were just talking about this before the episode got started, about how I really struggle with that. So I want to hear.
Yes, I think you and I are wired the same way, and we it's hard for us to say no. So we talk about boundaries could bend, embracing flexibility without losing yourself. So boundaries can bend, embracing flexibility without losing yourself. So I guess what I was studying is you could revisit a boundary, and you could, and I've done that the last couple of weeks with some people. I've drawn boundaries and they've come back, either called or text, and I'm like, cool, because then you're in a different place. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
So do you think when like you set boundaries and then like you yourself don't abide by those boundaries, it can actually misdirect you from being like the best version of yourself?
Yes, but the best version of yourself constantly changes. And I think that's where we got to give ourselves a break.
I like that.
The best version of yourself,
Meaning mountain biking.
That's the target. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, all of this, like, to self-audit is like, if you had a line of the actions that you took, and then another line that is the actions that your idealized self would be taking, you're measuring like the average difference between those two lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I
know we're turning it into the Ben show, but
no,
I think it all goes back to that.
I like where you are coming to, because I think it's the same.
You have a North Star, and so if in this case we're talking about who you want to be, those boundaries ideally are in support of that pursuit. And so as your target moves, your North Star, where your compass of your decisions, your choices that you're making move, your boundaries are going to move with that.
But it's also like, I think when like you come from a person, especially for me, like where I guess most people would call it people please, or you're trying to like help or do what's best for that person, then like oftentimes I find myself in situations where I appease so much to that person that it kind of steers me away from what you're referring to as like that North Star. And you're talking about like those two lines, and you kind of like averaging those two, and then you kind of are able to look back and be like, oh wow, like I've set this boundary on this person, and then I overstepped that so much. That's the reason I was asking you about that earlier. So that's I'm curious, because it's like, this is actually something my mom was telling me like how bad I am at it this week, because I was on the phone call with somebody, and they called me, and they were like, this guy called me, works for FCA, wanted to catch up, and I was in the middle of a talk with her. We're going through all this stuff, and she was like, he called me. I was like, oh, I'll call you back in 10 minutes. And she was like, That's your exact problem. Like, you don't have time to call him in 10 minutes, but you want to make him feel like he's important, so you tell him you're going to call him back in 10 minutes, where it's like, me and you are going to be talking for the next 30 minutes, and now you're going to have to call him in 10 minutes because you just said that. And I was just like, wow, I overstepped my own boundary.
There you go. That's crazy. Like, I knew the energy would be amazing today, maybe because it's my birthday.
Whoop, whoop.
No, I mean, something was going to align today to where, like, Tony V hit me up yesterday, and then last 3 or 4 days I've been consistent with my grandson and seeing him and on these great routines right now, and people flooding my phone that I've never heard for a while or whatever it was. And then whether it's Saturday afternoon at 4 or 5, it calls me to the woods to mountain bike, to listen to podcasts, to get ready for the next show. So you'll love this. When you change, so do your boundaries. How life and culture and spiritual growth reshape what you say yes and no to. When you change, so do your boundaries. How life, culture, and spiritual growth reshape what you say yes and no to.
Can you say it one more time?
When you change, so do your boundaries. How life and culture and spiritual growth reshape what you say yes and no to.
Wow.
Choices, yes and no. That's the most basic kind of choices.
How do you feel like that's applied to your life and like with your business and your personal life?
It's been amazing of the simplest no's have gotten me to amazing yeses through the day. This is the first Sunday morning in 3 or 4 weeks that I've trained people on Sunday morning, because I go 7 days a week. I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm a workaholic. I'm never going to say no. I'm a people pleaser. That's my next one that we'll talk about on this show. So yesterday I scheduled people for this morning. I'm like, I feel like I want to go in at 8:30. There's some people I haven't seen, and I want to train at 8:30. And then my 12 o'clock virtual from Fort Walton, Florida, that I trained for the last 2 years on Sundays at noon. I told the family a couple weeks ago, I think you guys want to do you on Saturday and not Sunday.
Yeah.
For many reasons. Recovery, then he has a full day off Sunday. He's going to be a big-time quarterback. He's a junior. I want him to follow the same plan like Harrison Smith and Thomas Harper and all the guys that are in the pros now, where they came in and trained on Saturdays. So they adhered to that. But that was hard to put together man, I don't want to disappoint. It's hard for me to say no or yes.
It was like you were kind of stressing out about introducing that idea, and then it all worked out great.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if they're going to take this, but Sunday at 12 just doesn't flow anymore for where this kid is at as a junior. He needs the recovery day. And then maybe I don't train people at 8:30, and maybe, us three could have a hoop hollering time on a Saturday night and have fun, and I don't have to set an alarm. And maybe we talked about changes and pivoting and chapters with Brian White, who came in this weekend and talked about the last couple podcasts.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, I didn't lose anything. I gained a lot.
So for you, when you set those boundaries with that family and that quarterback, like, how hard was that for you to like present that to them on changing?
I had to process it. I thought about it, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks. I wrote it down on paper and looked at it. And so it was different for me because I'm a people pleaser. I don't think I have a business for 34 years not being a people pleaser. And I'd like to say yes more than no to people all the time. It's like, hey, whatever you got, and it cost me everything in my life doing that. And I think now, being 57 today on this date, August 10th, 2025, it's like, wait a minute. Where else I think you're 100% wrong is I don't need Bryce Harper.
Are you learning to love no? I mean, what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of respect in no, especially like, I don't know, I'm going to go back again to like the example of using Griff's services. Like, if Griff knows that he's too busy, he's already said yes too many times, and he says, hey, I can't shoot this thing for you, but here's this other person that I've worked with before, and I respect them a lot, and I think they'll do a great job. That's respectful. Like, that's more respectful and in a way, a better pursuit of people pleasing than if you people please and say, yeah, I can fit you in, I can squeeze you in, I can do that.
But also being 29, like, I am at a point where I have to be in a position to say yes to a lot of things, because I'm not Charlie Petrone at 56
100.
that is on top of the mountain, you know, to where it's like,
Right.
I think
That's true.
yeah.
So when you're younger, it's more yes, 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 yes. Be open to stuff. You never know what's going to happen. Go have that drink. Go talk to that person at the bar because you don't know. And then as you get older, that no builds up, and that's a natural thing.
Yes, and I think this is a good analogy, Griff. I think at your age and Ashlyn's age, my oldest daughter doing training at 26, and my youngest dabbling into it now at 22, you're going to eat more shit sandwiches, but at 57 now, 56 yesterday, I'm still eating shit sandwiches. Maybe not as many, but you're still eating shit sandwiches. No to yes from, like you said, our last podcast, last Sunday, Griff and I talked on the phone until 12:36 a.m. And I had to get up at 4:31. And I gave him an hour and 36 minutes to talk and to vent and to unload. And that could have easily been 15 minutes into it going, hey, Griff, man, I love you to death, but
I got a day tomorrow.
I got a big day tomorrow. I got to get to bed. But
Yeah.
I still have to, like, I'm okay because I'm still not only crossing over to business, but crossing over to personal. So the no's are, and the boundaries that we're talking about are they're for me. They're not for anybody else.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, that same phone call, which I can't thank you enough for, like, whenever you spend that time to talk to me, like, it just means the world, because I know how precious your time is.
No, I mean, I think everybody's time is precious. I just want to make sure that, like, you know, it's worth it, and you're getting what I'm saying, because I mean, I wouldn't be in the business if I didn't want everybody to be the greatest form of themselves and their best version of themselves. And I struggle, and I'm finding now at being who I am is I struggle with people that want to settle. So it's hard for me to be around people that want to settle. And I don't think you want to settle. I think you're finding your way, but you don't want to settle, you know, and it's hard for me. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. I mean, I think that's, again, we've talked about it before. It's like that is what makes a good teacher a good teacher. Is they can see more what you have in you than you even know. And that, I think, can make them tend to be disappointed when you're not, reaching that. But it's like, my old music teacher's birthday was yesterday, and I texted him, and I said, hey, thank you for teaching me all that I know about this stuff, and I treasure it, because I want them to know, like, I'm sure, there are times when I didn't practice or I didn't, learn what I was supposed to learn the previous week, and that's frustrating, and so we maybe would get into it. But it's like, I still learned what I learned, and I use it and practice it every day, and I love it. Does that make sense? I mean,
yeah.
You may not know, even if someone hit only 70% of what they could be doing in the gym, maybe that's like still their favorite times of their life, and it just wasn't meant to be what you saw. You know what I mean?
I do, and I'll give you...
You're leaving people better than they would have been without you, and you want more and more and more, but it's like maybe it didn't need to be that.
But Charlie also sees the full potential somebody can reach. I think that's like his gift. And when I did that interview with Chad, with the doc, he was just like, most people, they work and they get a result that looks good to others, but are they really reaching their full potential? And it's just like, only the people that they love and the people that they have compassion for, like, are going to be able to also see that and then be able to check on that. And I think that's I think someone like Charlie, he's able to see like what people are capable of, like you were saying, without them maybe not knowing. And I think sometimes people get baffled when he throws out what is seen as like these outlandish goals or these places and these things, but it's also like it's a beautiful gift, because he's telling you like he always says, like, my eyes see what others don't see. And I think like if you're able to trust that and just follow him, that's like a part of like what works within like his whole process of what you're going to be able to strive for.
Yeah.
And I think probably one of the hardest things, maybe Charlie, you could get in on this, is you seeing what people are capable of and then them not reaching it because it's up to them. You just tell them what they're capable of. Would you agree with that? Or
All right, so what's the summary? What do we
I was just
bring
saying.
you back?
So essentially what I was saying was talking about Chad with that interview, saying like most people, like, they get a good result but they don't reach their full potential. And I said that one of your greatest gifts are you're able to see what others don't see within themselves, and like what they're able to reach within their potential. And I think for a lot of people, when you throw out these outlandish things that they see as outlandish but you see as just like the reality and the cold truth because it's one of your gifts, they don't know how to process that. And I think like that's what we were talking about last week about like self-checking and being able to go in within like, are you falling into these pockets of complacency? And it's just like, you know, it's funny, out of that whole series, I felt I had more of a reality check than I think anyone else probably needed on being complacent and falling into pockets on stuff because you become comfortable on certain things. And it's just like, Charlie tells me I'm capable of these certain things, and I think for a long time, like, and I'm starting to like realize like what I'm actually truly capable of, because it's just like, it's hard to believe that.
I think what I was trying to get at is like, in that process of self-auditing, like when you're evaluating, Charlie, like other people's way that they interpret you giving them choices, or like it could be, so their performance or something, when you're evaluating their side of it, you have to acknowledge that like there could just be things that are unsaid, like ways in which you've affected people that are not explicit, you know what I mean? And that you may be discounting, but was really special or huge to them in a positive way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so where are we? Are we talking self-audit? Are we talking
I was self-audit.
boundaries? Are we talking, I'll give you...
Or the boundaries, like when you're evaluating how well the boundaries worked or whatever.
Well, it's like you've, like the past 10 days, you've been sitting on self-auditing based off your conversation with Ross.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're the only person that truly knows what he
Cheers.
said. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You're the only one that's going to truly be able to process and know whether what he said resonates with you or not. And it's just like, it's just the truth. And it's just like, I think, and that's when I was talking to you that long time on that phone call that for like an hour and a half, was like talking about like your priorities, knowing your priorities and communicating and being able to the thing is, I don't think most people spend enough time actually self-auditing, and then like they spend like 12 hours on it. It's just like, you've been sitting on this thing for like 10 days, being like, let me really sit on it. And it's just like the consensus that you've come to based off of that has completely changed, but you've worn what he said for the past 10 days, right?
Yes, and at self-auditing, I came up with another word, self-reflection. I came up with, there you go. Discouragement is different than, so let me put today's perspective into where I am with who I am of, these, because I don't think you guys understand these podcasts and what they mean to me right now. Whatever, again, this phase of life. It's my birthday today. My father's dead. He was killed in a motorcycle accident in 2003. My mother's still alive, and she wanted to see me today. and too busy.
She's probably seen you a lot on your birthday, though.
But it's like, Mom, I trained people today. I got the virtual. I've got to move furniture. I got to go see Azzy, my grandson, take him to Whole Foods, get food for the show, talk to Tony a little, work on this podcast. I got a mountain bike. I got to prep for that. Then you have people stop by. So, and she understood because it was what we were talking about, the hidden cost of people pleasing, breaking your own boundaries.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that's exactly what Griff was saying, right? When he's breaking his own boundary due to people pleasing with the phone call thing, right?
Well, and even Griff saying, like, he doesn't know. I mean, see all the gray in my beard? So it's a little different than Griff's. This podcast was designed for Griff. And he had no clue until, like, wait a minute. Did he just stick that in without me knowing he did?
I didn't realize it until I got to the third or fourth episode.
And I was like, because we know that when he started talking the outcome, and I'm like, I know my guy, I know my son, like he's in uncharted waters right now, and he doesn't know where the hell and how the hell to get this thing going, and I got to bring him back, because when he said on the one podcast, I never set a date.
Yeah.
He did set a date, May 1st, 2024, and it was on the cork board, and I had to go pull
with Whitey.
I had to go pull a picture of it and go, you did. Not saying you have to hold accountable to it, but like you have to, that's the self-reflect, self-audit going.
That happened on the show, yeah.
That happened on the show.
That also came from complacency of like people pleasing, because everyone kept telling me when it's going to come out.
Right, we were on the podcast going, let's go, Griff, do it.
Yeah,
You're
they
like,
basically
fine,
made you give a date.
Yeah,
You're like, I'll write it.
But then like everything like within my actual decision making, like I actually betrayed myself by doing that.
Right.
Which I guess me being in my 20s, like I should never have done. I mean, if I did, I should have held to it.
Right, you did it, but it's just like anybody else. Hey, if you don't want to talk to me, don't pick up the phone.
No.
Don't go, hey, I don't have nothing to say.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
You're 100% right.
No, I know it's hard by going, Charlie, I know we're on film. I know I don't want to put that on there, and that's where I was like, okay, cool. Now I want to, like, even us talking about the self-audit, it's like, Charlie, I need time to sit with you and we have to edit this thing. Well, there's no perfect time than right now. Like, we're ready to, like, I'm here. I'm single mingle right now. I'm no kids in the house, no athletes. Like, every night we're ready to go. And it's like, is that really, because it's going to,
So do you want to say for the listeners that may not know what you're talking about?
Well, we're talking about the doc that's going to be amazing. I mean, because when I listen to what
Griffin is working on a documentary about you.
And he came to me wanting to do that, and I know
you and like through the lens of all these other athletes that you've trained.
Yeah, and we talked about that. Is the exposures? I've studied that in the podcast the last 3 or 4 days. Griff feels uncomfortable being exposed. And that's okay, because that's a personality trait. That's okay to be that way of going, hey, because he's always said, I want to be behind there. I don't want to be exposed. I don't want to be vulnerable. To me, he can, like when we're traveling somewhere, he's amazing. We could talk about anything, but here he's like, I don't want to be exposed. And that's okay too, because I had to figure that out this last 4 or 5 weeks. But for me, it's like, I'll take exposure from a liquor salesman of Ross to anybody.
You're used to that pressure in that world where, like, obviously there's no such thing as perfection, but, like, there is what the NFL expects a player to be able to run per their position, for a 40. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the bar. That's the perfection. I think for creative work, that's totally different. So it's like, what is the bar for a documentary? But people who are my age, and even more so probably Griff's age, like, we live in the music that you listen to is to a click. You know what I mean? Like, there's no lost beats. Everything is accounted for. So we're always accountable.
But Charlie is right, though. Like, there is something within me that I have a fear of. I guess I don't want to say like there's nothing
Is
to
it a fear of failing?
Probably.
There's something
yeah.
going on because my codependency wants to call him every night at 6:30 and go, "Hey Griff, I'm all alone sitting in the house. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
I'll cook food. We could go 3 or 4 hours. I could go all 4 hours of sleep a day. Like, but then I'm
Well,
like,
again,
no.
isn't that respect for your story? I mean, I get where you're coming from, so I'm not saying like, oh, you shouldn't ask Griff questions about this project or whatever, but it's like, if he thought about the Sam statement that hard, think how much he thinks probably about how do I sum up this other person's life who's really important to me. You know
Right,
what I
but
mean?
here's what I was talking to
a huge
Ross, the guy
project.
that was on it a couple times, and this is a good thing, is I'm not that guy. Like, the workout calls for 4 sets. If you want to do 4 sets, you do 4 sets. If you want to do 3 sets, do 3
Yeah.
sets. So I'm wanting Griff to go either 2 things, like, shit, let's go, Chaz. Like, you're in this house alone. I've been with you lots of years. You've always had athletes and others in this house. Like, this is the perfect time because I don't know when they will change. Or, hey, Chaz, you got to stay on me about what are you doing tonight, 7 to 9? What are you doing? Because he has, I think these podcasts are for a lot of reasons, but he has figured out some things, even with the jiu-jitsu of like, and we talked on the phone, and I retain everything. He's like, me spending those hours of doing jiu-jitsu, I've got to be doing the doc. Like, this thing has to, this is, you know, because what he says on the podcast, if you listen to him, he's like, it's everything, and then I'm detached from it. And then it's like, okay, Griff, which one is it? You know, and it could be both. It could be those cycles, those phases of, I have to detach from it, like we talked about. Like, because when you set those boundaries, even with Ross, I want to revisit with him of like, hey, when you set these boundaries with these people, you could revisit those again. You know, it's not a wall, it's a boundary.
It's not like definitive. It's like
yes,
there's
'cause
constant,
you keep
like,
changing.
but like as you change, so does your boundary.
Yes.
But yeah, I think like these podcasts have like exposed me to some things about myself that like I guess I've become desensitized to or not aware of, where it's like enlightened me about like I think I've picked a profession that allows me to not have to do that, because in my mind it's like I have to reach a certain point in order to be in front of it, and it's just like you're never going to be at that point. It's just you have to be comfortable
Well, those
now.
projects have constraints because it's not like it's not for you or like a what am I trying to say? It's not your band. Like you're producing content for other people's products.
Yes, but like but with this it's different. So like with my work, that it's a whole different ball game where this is so vulnerable, and it's a very scary thing for me, to where Charlie is right. Like there's something.
Is there subject matter like that comes up in the interviews or that you film that is like?
And it's nothing to do with the
uncomfortable,
story. It has to do within myself, and it's putting it in and doing it. And it's just like I am doing it, but there's also like, and it's crazy because these episodes are helping me, and Charlie's helping me come to the realization of like I need to address these things in order to be great at what I want to do. And there's actually a quote I wanted to read you guys that has always resonated with me. It's a poem. It's from the movie. You remember the movie Coach Carter?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like when he's like running lines, and then like he has that kid. Remember that poem? Do you remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the poem. It's our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves who I want to be. Brilliant, gorgeous, talent, fabulous. Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the Lord. And it's just like, I think the reality of it is, it's not the darkness that fears me within myself. It's the light, and like the capability of what all of this is, and Charlie pulling that out of me. But in order to be able to do that, you have to address things that are very uncomfortable, and I don't think there's a more uncomfortable format to do it than something that's recorded public, and something that I spend probably 99% of the time on the opposite end of it, to where it's like right in front of me, and it's just like, the past 4 weeks have been like really hard in regards to saying things, putting things out, not being edited, not being able to do stuff, to where it's just like, I do think it's allowing me to enter a new stage and being able to address. And I think, like, it's funny because, like you said, like, it's like film. So like, you go back and you listen to certain things that I'm saying, and you're obviously listening to it and being like, all right, he's got some shit that he needs to address. And there's some things
instant accountability, because it's like you.
But most people aren't
to the tape now.
Most people aren't open to that accountability, and it's just like, for me, I need it, because I think you hit certain points in your life to where you're just like, if it's not working, and nothing's changing, then there has to be something addressed, and you have to be able to find that, whatever that is, and you need to address it and fix it. And I think, like, you're going back to like the boundaries and decision making and pruning and all of that. It's just like, it's self-reflection. It's just like, if you're at a certain point, you're not changing, and these things aren't changing in your life, and you're constantly getting run over, you're being conformed, and you're all over the place. And it's just like, and people are telling you that, and that's kind of Ross was kind of coming to the standpoint of, it's just like, there might be a lot of good things going on in your life, but if you want to be great, you always got to look at the worst things and figure out how to address that. And it's just like, you're right. You're 100% right. And it's just like, I don't even think I've been open to, like, I don't think I've realized it until like listening back to these episodes and being like, wow.
Well, we talked about, I listened to another podcast with an artist on it, and I was going to send it to Griff, and they did both talk about not the outcome. So when Joe Rogan started doing the podcast, and everybody would ask him after he got off a comedy show, where do you want to take the podcast? He's like, I don't know, I'm just having fun doing it and listening to people and being interested. I want people on there that I want to listen to, okay? And then he had this artist on there, I'll send you the podcast, and he's a world-famous artist and does jiu-jitsu. I don't know how in the hell that came up as this one guest. When I was listening to him, like, this is like alignment. And that's what we're talking about. Let me get off on something real quick with rules to alignment. It's not following rules, it's following your own alignment. So your own alignment means, does this feel right? When I'm around this person, does this feel right? Do I need to cut this person off because it doesn't feel right? Even though I know we
not
feel right.
Good. Right.
Right. So you have those alignment of, hey, we're not in a line right now, so I'm going to step back, peel off, not rules. So it's not following rules, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's not words, it's facts of going, this is the fact, not the words. And I think what Rogan was talking about and this artist was talking about is like, it doesn't have to be the outcome. And I was like, how in the hell does this podcast know we talked about the outcome the last month instead of going, it's about the work. And with the work, you get the outcome. But you have to put the work into it. And I was like,
Well, that's what, like you talked about Rogan. It's just like, the guy put it out 4 to 5 episodes a week for 6 years. So it's like, he can go, I don't know where this is going to go, but it's not like I'm not putting in the work to do it. Like, there's a consistency. He's doing everything. It's like, no, at that point in time, it's like, no one knows where he's going to go and do with all of it. But it's right. Like, it knows there's something to it, to where he's like, he's doing it 5 times a week. It compounds.
So so I told the Griff, for a while, I really like these podcast shows. I really do. And we've been doing them since 2018, end of 17. And I really feel like I'm really good at it. I have a good feel, like we said, Outback with.
I think you have a gift within it.
I really do, Griff. Thank you. And, we're sitting out here with one of my pussy cats. It's an outdoor and indoor pussy cat, right? And we're just chilling out back. But then Griff goes, Charlie, you're saying you want this. And it's just, I want to do more. I didn't say I want to be world renowned. I just want to do more. And he goes, okay, we got to do one every week. So then I'm like, all right, let's do it. And I still feel like Griff's not going to want to do it when I hit up the group text. You know what I'm saying? Of like, he's going to be like, okay, whatever, instead of going, I know my Sunday nights for now, maybe through August, maybe where it's still warm out of Outback with Petrone. I know Sunday nights, 90% chance we're doing one Outback. So I have to know that, and I got to bring my A game because I said it to Charlie because I'm in the social media production business of going, hey, Charlie, if you want to do these, we got to be consistent. You haven't been consistent. You shoot them, then you don't, then you. I'm telling you the one thing. I'm like, how's it line up now where I could be consistent? Let's go for it while we still can until some factors happen in my personal life.
But you say earlier in the week.
What'd you say?
You said something really funny earlier in the week about it. I can't remember. It was like you're busting my balls about the dock, and then you're like something about your love life. It was really funny.
I suck at love life.
Yeah, but you're like, you better like jump on me while you can with this stuff, because
you never know when somebody's gonna be back in.
Sunday nights might get a little spicier.
Hey,
yeah, hey.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, it's like but like the past 5 weeks, every time you said something, it's like I hold that too, and I'm like, yes, I can, I will be there.
Let's do it. Let's do it because Griff said do it, and I was telling Whitey today, I was like, I followed directions. If somebody says this is the way you do it, let's do it.
Without consistency, nothing's gonna grow.
It can't.
Well, and for stuff like that, I mean, when you look at these shows, you're right. It's like they're militant about it. I mean, Mark Maron has, I don't even know how many thousands of episodes. He's just going to shut down the podcast, but I mean, he's got a ton. This is random. I don't want to totally throw us off here, but I was actually listening to a podcast recently, this weekend, actually. It was the Dave Chang show. So it was, Dave Chang, the chef from New York that owns Momofuku, the noodle shop.
Easy for you to say.
And he was talking to Roy Choi, who's like, the Korean food truck guy. I can't remember the name of the food truck, but, he's like took off on Twitter. People in LA would follow him on Twitter, and he'd just tweet, hey, I'm going to be here from 12 to 4 a.m. at this club. And people would show up to eat his food. And he was talking about, he was a West Coast guy, and he moved to New York to work in these fancy restaurants, like the same ones that Dave was working in, basically. And I'm not going to say their names because it's like French chefs and stuff. I'm going to sound stupid. But basically, Roy was talking about all he wanted was to be like those chefs and these leaders of the kitchens that inspired him. And he said he just sucked at it. Like, he would be working, hot appetizers or whatever and just be drowning. And like, in a restaurant like that, it's like a football team. So like, I'm not going to go too deep with this analogy because people are going to roast me. But like, if you don't protect
you're live right now, by the way.
If you don't protect your quarterback, like, you're not going to win the game. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to lose. It's a team. And so when this guy was failing in his job as a line cook in Manhattan, he was bringing down everyone around him too. And it took until he went in, he left basically this fancy restaurant business, started working at hotels, and then the financial crisis happened back then, 2008 or whatever. And so he got laid off from the hotel job. He started the food truck. He was detached from the outcome. He said, well, I wasn't doing anything else with my time. I was unemployed. And so for him, he was like raised in this place of building like the most highbrow dishes, like working in kitchens where there's 33 chefs and each one of them basically makes one dish, and like it's timed down to like the 15-second increment, and if you're not meeting that, you're failing. And so he said it took, by about, I think he said 4 months in Manhattan, he was like kind of okay, but he was like, yeah, this isn't for me. But then years later ends up back in LA. He's just running this food truck, and he's meeting these college kids that are like, so wait, who are you? You all have a Twitter? That's how I find you next time? And like goes viral and is winning all these awards that the people that were his peers in New York still hadn't won. Does that make sense? It's like Food and Wine is like, holy shit, you need to go try this food truck. When before he came along, like no one gave a shit about food trucks.
Yeah, but all the adversities and things that he'd gone through the years past, like led him to that.
He failed.
But like he did
into
the work.
being where he needed to be.
Yeah. But you work as a line cook, and then you go into the food truck, and you go do that stuff, and it's just like you can have like back to what you like Charlie was saying. It's just like you can have a detachment to the outcome, but like you also still have to do the work.
Yeah, I mean, people would be like, "Oh, you left Robichon's restaurant after 3 months? Like, you're a failure. You're an idiot. Why would you do that?"
And
Yeah, that's what we were talking about with I think it was crazy with Joe Rogan, and that guy that reminded me of Griff was like, yeah, I don't have, like, Rogan's not a guy he even said, it's fine if people do that, but like goals on a calendar and all this thing, I didn't do that. But the only thing I did was the work.
Exactly. He wasn't, and if you think about what food is, on that food truck, he was feeding people. That's what cooking is, right? And so in New York, he wasn't cooking for the people that he was feeding. He was cooking for the people around him who are competing to impress these chefs, who are in turn competing with each other to get these Michelin stars or whatever. And it's like, wait, why did I get into cooking to begin with? It's to make people happy and like feed their guts, right? I mean, and so when he turned back to that at its purest form, that's when he found success. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, again, it goes back to the target. He was not succeeding in the world of those like high-powered Michelin star restaurants, and that was his goal. And so he was failing against his goal, but everything he learned as his boundaries and everything changed. I think he said the reason he got out of that world was he got married and wanted to have kids and have a family. And it's like, I can't work 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. like and raise a family in Manhattan, you know what I mean? So he moved back to LA. That's why he was in the hotel stuff. The recession happened. That's why he's in the truck. I don't know. I'm bringing us full circle.
No,
back
I think it's a great example because it's just like, I mean, imagine like Charlie, like what would have been like for you if like you would have had the wood gym just after like 2 years of training people. You would have not have gone through any of that stuff at Martinwood Drive, any of that stuff at Gold's Gym, any of the stuff at Vol Gym, and then Homburg, and then you would have just gone after 2 years of contracted work at Gold's Gym, just the wood gym, and that would have been it.
Yeah. I mean, we could bring back to Joe Rogan again, is I watched him in a series in the 90s, for God's sake. So he's been doing television and comedy and Fear Factor, and I think he started, what year did he start those podcasts?
It's funny.
2008.
Yeah, there's actually
like Marin, like
there's actually a
09, 08.
clip of he went on to this comedian's podcast.
He was like, I was horrible on him.
Yeah, but he was like you watch it, and he's very intrigued and open to like what's going on. He's like, you're telling me there's no time limit on this, there's no script, and you just sit and it's open form.
Yeah, I heard
and then
that.
at that point, like you can just see like it planted within him.
Mm-hmm.
But that was 2012. I don't know when he started doing podcasts, maybe 10 or 12 years ago, but nothing really clicked for him for another 8 years. This is me, I'm 29, and maybe I don't know anything, but like all the people that I understudy and I look at their journeys that are truly successful long term, I don't see a lot of them getting success straight off the bat, and it just works. I think they get early successes, but I think like everyone I know, like for you, like 7 or 8 years, like
something big,
something
right.
that's going to make an impact on your life. That could be over 30 years in the business.
I agree with that. Something big. Yeah,
because it's like it feels like more failures than it does in successes. Would you say, right?
Yeah, and we talked about that. Is I listened to the podcast with Chewy, and I was just in awe biking this week with that because I talked.
It's an unreleased one that you did with Chewy, right? Two-parter.
Yes, and I wanted to bring Chewy up on that at some point. I want him to sit with us, and I think it would be nice if he got with you and we did a collaboration. I think it would be really cool if Chewy narrated what Griff could talk about on the thing and just narrate the story. I think it would be kind of cool to have that because when he talked about the one thing, and I said the one thing, I talk about your old man, but I talked about like, I've had more failures than successes in my life. And you don't hear that much. that really hit home. I don't know which part it was on. You sent me one that was an hour and 8, and one that was hour 11. And when you're listening to that, it's like, gosh, like that really hit me hard. Of like I fail more every day still than I do succeed. Something. I mean, hell, it could be the damn fruit flies in the kitchen that are driving me nuts, and I see that
We're trying red wine now, by the way.
right.
And we'll see how it goes.
And I see that as a failure. The car batteries. I see that as a there's if you really added up your failures to your successes and wins, I mean, you're going to lose a lot more than you're going to win.
And you have to you have to be on the field to have that experience. So go out there, I don't know. The people that I follow that make guitar stuff on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, there's all these comments all the time of oh, you fucked up that note. That's supposed to be a G, not a G sharp or whatever. And then you look at the person who's making that comment, they have no content. They don't have any videos teaching you how to play Eruption.
Man in the arena.
And so, yeah, we've gone full circle back to that. I think.
But it is the hidden cost of people pleasing, breaking your own boundaries. The hidden cost of people pleasing, breaking your own boundaries.
I think we talked about that too. It's like the choices will make themselves if you don't make a choice.
Right, but I think we're so...
People don't weigh...
The impasse of us are we're here to please people all the time, and then we negotiate and compromise our boundaries.
And then that leaves both parties unhappy.
Do you feel like the reason why behind that is because you're expecting yourself out of the other person?
I think the boundaries move. I think the boundaries change as you change. As we talked earlier in the show, is like, hey, I'm fine going in this morning. Let me go serve and teach and other athletes that wanted me. What's here for me? My kids aren't here. My grandkids aren't my grandkids. 2 of them aren't here. I don't have a significant other here. Okay. I did 3 or 4 mornings on Sunday. That's cool too. But I could still go serve others, and I know I have a productive day going, even on my birthday. So riddle me this. The last 3 or 4 weeks I didn't go in on Sunday morning, but on my birthday I did.
How was it?
It felt good. I mean, it wasn't like, but everybody, let me take off on my birthday, let me celebrate. And everybody's celebration is different. And that's what we talk about with the no's and the yeses and the successes and wins.
We always talk about how nothing changes, holidays or anything don't change in your day because it's just you love what you're doing.
Well, we had,
your birthday doesn't feel any different from any other day because it's just you're living a life that's congruent with who you want to be.
Well, and oh wow, you just hit on something. Brian White was talking about this before I got my mountain bike ride, and he had a conversation with his wife, who's an entrepreneur and kicking ass in jewelry. It's amazing. She said her success is amazing. They went out to eat last night, and he was saying, if you saw 100 people on the street, what do you think the percent is that's living their true, authentic self? And I said 92 out of 100, 7 or 8 out of 100
are pretty high.
Yeah, maybe, of living your true, authentic self. So that being said, and we had people over here tonight that are professionals, surgeons, eye doctors, and they're like, what time you guys do the podcast? I'm like, usually shoots at 7:30. They're like, they were blown away by that. But it's the old... Where I am in life, it's I don't get tired. It's not my job of doing what I'm doing. It's my lifestyle, and it always goes back to that. It's a lifestyle, and
you'd be doing it regardless, for free maybe.
If I'm not doing it, what am I doing?
Yeah,
that was my quote.
I can't imagine anything else.
If I'm not doing, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, again, that's detached from the outcome, right?
That's detached from the outcome. And I understand what Griff was saying. I just wanted Griff to get more substance behind that of I'm going to do the work.
Yeah.
And there's an outcome, but I don't know the outcome, but I know the work I could put into it. And that's what Rogan and this artist was saying is the work is the outcome.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing the work, then you don't have an outcome.
Yeah. Well, it's like that chef or whatever got so beat down by all of his peers, made fun of, just like, wow, you cannot hack this. Why are you trying to do this? Get out of this. And then when he removed all of that ego and wasn't doing it to please other people, but he was just doing it because he had nothing else to do and he liked doing it and he liked feeding people, that's when he found success. It's like, what's that? The Indiana Jones scene, you know, where the cup of the carpenter, like the simple cup.
Honestly, I think tonight before Griff leaves, he's got to set me on Netflix because Freddie Smith, big shout out to Freddie Smith, give me more furniture today. He's been on the show 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, that's some nice furniture. Thank you, Freddie.
the kids, the
Gucci.
stuff's amazing. No, you got to see the 2 chairs we got to move in before you leave in the garage.
By the way,
no, Freddie gave me these brown leather chairs that will fit perfect in there, and then I can pull those out of my bedroom office.
There you go.
They're not heavy; they're just cumbersome. But like that's what I did today. But Freddie and Griff told me about this one sushi chef.
Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
before we leave, try to set it on Netflix for me, and I'll watch it by myself.
Oh, yeah.
But he talked,
Art of simplicity and dedication of one's art.
yeah. I mean, it's
These guys, like, he's got the people that work for him, like, even if it's his son, it's like you're going to do rice for 10 years before I let you touch a single piece of fish.
yeah.
Well, the whole, like, obviously, like, I've done a lot of work.
But what
in
is he
traveling
doing?
Japanese.
What is he doing? The work.
Oh, yeah, they're not talking about the work.
No.
They're not describing the work. They're not fantasizing about the work when they're not working. They're just doing
They're doing
work.
the real work.
Yeah.
Right.
I think right now, like you're talking about with me within all of it, I think like right now I've produced like a good result within myself, but it's not to what I'm fully capable of. And I think like that's where it's like that self-auditing comes into check and what you were saying. I think Ross is kind of hinting at over the past couple episodes. It's just like, Griff, are you really going to the depths that you need to on this stuff?
No, I think Ross, because we've talked a lot too privately, and he's like, man, we gone back and forth. I'm like, he needs hard love. This has to be done, and he's the only guy. Like, he's got it. Like, we have to stay on him because it's probably such a
well,
big...
if you're telling me, like, hey, you're
it's
not
such a
putting the
big
work
project.
in, then it's just like, I need to hear, I want to hear that. Like,
But I don't know that, but I'm saying, like, I need you... I sent you the picture when you were on the floor videotaping one of my clients. I sent you that picture. I was like, I want that guy back. Like, that's who I want back. I want him being on fire with this thing. Like, burn the ship and take the island. And it's like, I need that guy again. I need, hey, Mom, I can't see you today. I know it's my birthday, but I'm busy.
Yeah. Do you think we saw that? Well, when this comes out, I think this will be out, but our podcast with CJ, right? It's like, that
Yeah.
guy wants to drink from the fire hydrant.
Yes, but he's where CJ is. It's more, I'd say, pragmatic. It's more this, like it's amazing, but it's a whole
it's
different
what we
category.
talked about earlier very briefly. It's like that creativity and that output with constraints. It's
I
like,
think
it's
Griff,
very
if he's going to
defined.
tell stories, okay, he's a storyteller. Okay, and Ross is like, okay, how many stories has he told? I'm like, fair enough, but he's a storyteller. That's what he's defining himself as, and he needs to hang on to that and go, this is my boundary.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking storyteller. Okay? I don't see CJ as a storyteller. He's more of a trainer that has trainers underneath him.
Yeah.
So he, at 25, I felt good doing that podcast, even for me, when Griff texts me at 3 and goes, I don't want to go on, I don't know who it is, but I want to go on, I didn't get mad. That's my guy. Like, it's like, okay, God's setting me up to do another one-on-one because I haven't done that in a while. I got to sharpen my skills again.
Yeah.
And then I pulled out the where you see yourself at 25. I don't know where that came from. That's my natural skill set of talking to people. And he was like, oh, well, I have these guys underneath me. And so it's a whole different category than what Griff is doing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And that's why I wanted Griff on, because I knew instinctively that it was going to be two different people. It's like if you asked me to get on with a guy that loves machines and computers to free weights in a wood gym, it would be like, that's cool because we're not competitors at all. It's that's kind of cool what you do, and it's kind of cool what I do, but I never want to do what you do. And when I went to IMG Academies in 2000 with Pennington, I got to see state of the art.
Yeah.
And go,
not for me.
Not for me. Just like my oldest daughter had her second home birth at her home, complications. She had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So she was upset about that, and I brought that analogy back by going, this is just like 2000 with IMG Academies is now.
Now you know.
Now you know when people go, oh, but you can't speak on the hospitals because you just do.
No. Now it's authoritative.
Now
Yeah,
I
that
can.
makes sense.
Oh, you don't know anything about IMG Academies.
It builds the
yeah,
ethos. Yeah.
So it's, and I was like, as who I am is like, Ash, I look at everything as a positive. My dad getting killed in
That's a
motorcycle
choice.
accidents is a positive. At 59, I lost my father as a positive. It's like, that was a positive. It kicked me into more manhood than ever before. Positive. And he got to go home and rest. Positive. How's that negative?
It's not.
It's a choice.
You could choose to think a negative
Well,
and
it's
then
the
go down that
viewpoint.
rabbit hole.
It's the viewpoint of like how you see the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like you could see it as like the worst thing ever, but it's like, how many more people have you been able to reach to and connect with in all of it, or like through like losing your father and being able to do that? It's just like, I can't connect to somebody on that level on something like that.
Well, look
I
at
know
this-
there's been people at the gym that have done that, and just like, you're the only person, and you're like, oh, your dad's dead too. It's just
Yeah.
like, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh wow,
Yeah.
like he can guide me through all this.
And who's to say I would have had the wood gym if he was still alive? But who's to say I would have all those principles and pulling them out and then sharing them with you and telling the story and telling it to Chewy and telling that story and being, I think where we go back around is about being vulnerable. And I think that's what, I wouldn't say you struggle with it, but
I 100% struggle with it.
But I
let's not sugarcoat it.
I'm not sugarcoating. I think
I'm
a lot of
vulnerable
people.
in a lot of things.
I
If it's
think
like
a-
in a situation like this, for me to actually be vulnerable, I think
Right.
that's why you've been like, I'm like, Charlie, I do not want to go on this podcast. He wants to listen to me,
Right.
and it's just like these past 4 episodes, and you're like, it's kind of like
When
in
you
form of,
listen
like my
to-
training, you're like,
He
if
knows
you want to
what
be
he's
great
doing.
at what you're doing,
Right.
then it's just like,
He knows what he's doing before
and
he knows
it
what
took
he's
me
doing.
like the 3rd week, and I was just like, did you edit it? Did you
No.
change anything? No.
No. Just let it go.
You're like, good job.
General Nealon was a drunk. I'll say it. Fuck it.
He
What are they gonna do,
was.
sue me?
We talked about that.
He still
I
got
mean-
he still got a statue in Neyland Stadium.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
cool.
he was a badass. My number one guy is like, he was awesome. Like, I think there's a lot of drunks that are awesome out in life. You know what? Like,
We're multifaceted.
I mean, we could be. I mean, I just think here's what I say. If you don't have vulnerability or you're not vulnerable, you can't have a relationship.
No,
That's biblical.
that's where the connection comes.
It really is, Griff.
Yeah.
It really is. And if you don't have that, it's to me, that's one of my boundaries. Is like, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, if you never know me, you can never hurt me or judge me, right?
What are we doing? You know,
It's so much easier to hide, though.
It's safer, but it's definitely
There's a long-term
it's less
consequence
fulfilling.
that comes from that. But it's like, most people think short-term.
I know a lot of people that hide, and they're miserable. Every one of them. I know so many people. I mean, honestly, I could put up against any therapist in the world of how many people I meet with because I get to watch them. I get to watch them be vulnerable and fail
but
and
you
train.
said like 7 out of 10 are authentic, right?
Not authentic. 3 out of 10 are.
Oh, you said aren't. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes
I mean,
I think it's hard to say.
their
I
true
could-
life is not their true life.
Yeah.
You know, like facts are true life, and not facts is just words that you tell yourself. That's what I've studied.
You can't make the right choices unless you know who you want to be and you're prepared to let other people see that.
Yeah, or you could just say Geronimo and go, I don't want to be this anymore, and then my choice becomes
Oh
my
yeah,
right
it can
choice.
change. Yeah.
I don't think most people are willing to make that change though until they hit like a certain point. They're like,
I mean, you don't have to, but like
you die. Like someone. So I got a great example. So I had a good friend of mine that came in town this week. The woman I was telling you about from Hurricane Helene. It was so funny because, like, you know, that one time you had the person over at your house and you thought I had this perception of like this person being over, and I'm like, I had this woman in her 40s coming over to my house on Friday night, and just to talk about life, and like two completely polar opposite stuff. And she started talking about she was in a 25-year marriage, and she had 2 kids with this guy. And so I asked her, I was just like, you know what? I was like, at what point did you, because I know certain people that, like, they just don't ever make a change. And she's like, I was like, what made you make the change after 25 years? Like, did something, like, crazy happen to make it? And she goes, no. She's like, one day, I was sitting in the living room, and I looked at my 8-year-old son, and I felt like he was dying inside because of the culture and the environment that me and my husband had created. And I was just like, wow. I was just like, it's so true though. She was like, I was dying inside. Though I was physically living, like within me, I was dying. Like, and I have this like sign in my room, and it's like, be fearless in pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And I think when a lot of people stop chasing that, and you talk about like the 7 out of 10 people, and it's just like, we only have one life to live. And I think sometimes, and this is including myself, and I think this is why this podcast is so great, because it's kind of giving me another like self-check within complacency. It's just like, do you want to really be living but not living? And it's just like, I don't. But I think oftentimes people like search and yearn for the fact that they want someone to sit down with them and tell them that. And
I agree. So do you want to be surviving or thriving? And that's what we were talking about with Whitey, is most people just want to survive a day. And I talked to a couple of people today, and I was like, listen, you're in your 60s. Are you guaranteed the rest of today? Like, so act on whatever you feel. Act on whatever you feel. I mean, yeah, okay, make it legal, make it whatever, but like, if you want to go have lunch with somebody, hit them up and say, hey, do you want to have lunch? Like, I think everybody is not taking that leap of faith. And I will tell you this, Griff, if 2 or more people are telling you the same thing, that's who you are. And I think it doesn't have to come from, it has to come from that person or that person. It can come
from anybody.
I don't think it comes from anything anymore. I don't think it does. And I've been there. You know, I've been there of like, I got to know what that person's life is or whatever, because it could be just the raw people. Like when Pennington wanted me to go to the Browns with Jimmy, and Jimmy Haslam, who owns the Cleveland Browns, is like, why do you want Charlie to go? He'd never played in the NFL. He never worked in the NFL. He's like, it's a raw eyeball. You'll be able to see things that the culture's not already seen.
It could be more valuable.
You would walk up there. The nerd you are, you could walk up there and go, this doesn't look right, that doesn't look right, that doesn't look right, because you're untainted. You know, you're not part of the system.
You don't have a bigger agenda in place.
You're not saying yes, sirs, and no, sirs, and playing the game, as Pennington says everybody does when they're up there. Especially when the owners start showing up. They just play the game. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So, like, if you were to audit me, where would you say I needed to grow?
Well, I would say loosen up and have more fun. And I think fun will, because I think you are creative. I don't think you're the guest that was on last Sunday at all, but completely different. That's why I was like, this guy is completely different than Griff. And it's like, keep your free spirit, you know, but just not just have fun, be happy, let loose. And, if you're going to say you're a storyteller, just be a storyteller, you know, and just like shock the world and go, I'm like you said, is like, I'm detached, but then I would need to be on fire with this one documentary, because I've told you from day one, I think this documentary of him doing it on me, I'm talking
Yeah.
about me, I think it will catapult to everything, because it'll be like, you know what I'm saying? Because I talked to
Yeah.
you last week in the weight room. I'm like, I was thinking about something when I was a mountain bike. I was like, so if Harrison Smith never does this documentary, never does an interview, do we not have a documentary?
Yeah. It's
Well, it's just a variable that you're like, if that's the case, then it still has to go out. It's just the truth. It's just like, if you're a really great storyteller, then it's just like, you can figure out a way to still tell a great story if you don't think that pivotal phase isn't going to be a part of it.
I would say you experiencing New Jersey and doing the things that Dr. Chewy hasn't done. And then with what he was talking about with like the Milo journals and the weights and the different things. And we brought up all the things, and he was just how his little innuendos. I was like, if these two could collaborate, like bring it back, like really, I want Wang back on it to go, because he's been with me since high school, earlier than Griff, because Griff was a baby and I was changing his damn diapers at Gold's Gyms to go, that's the story. You know, but then Griff has taken all this footage and he's listened to so much, and he's basically lived with me for 6 years.
Well, I think we had an episode where we laid it all out or whatever, based, you know, it was like a rough estimate, you know, and so I think, you know, Griff had an idea of how many minutes or hours or whatever it would take to have a finished product from X number of raw hours that he's already put in all this work and shot. It's like, I don't know why I'm on a food thing tonight, but it's like, he's done all the mise en place. He has the ingredients. The scallions are chopped finely. You know, the broth or whatever, you've gotten everything you need out of the bones. It's just, how do you present these things? And I think something that we keep talking about tonight is point of view. And I'm wondering, I don't know this, I don't know anything about what his vision is for the final product or what the state of that final product is right now. It sounds like you all need to edit some stuff and like come up with music and all these little things, and like, how do we put it out, and these like sort of the parts that aren't fun about creating something like that. But like, the dish will tell you what it needs to be because it's all of the things that are there that are fresh and exciting. You went to the farmer's market, you know, you got all these things. So quit worrying about like, what is this thing? It's like, let it tell you what it is.
It's like having the plate ready and having everything in the kitchen and like putting it out for the food critic to eat it.
But if we want to get the boundaries back, I think deep down Griff is at a level now is like this, and it should be like, this has to hit. Like, this is something that I've taken on more by choice. And I have to,
Yeah.
this is...
You've changed since he started. He's changed since he started. The story itself, maybe. I think we were talking the other day, maybe you reshoot certain stuff because it's like, damn, I'm not even in the same
story,
place.
the way
we
the
could
story
definitely
is
shoot
told
another.
has to be just as great as the story.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, but I do think that Griff needs, where he is with the knowledge he has, and like, I mean, Chewy's one thing. He sat down with me on a podcast in 2019. Okay. And we went through my childhood, and we went through everything. We talked about your old man. We talked about UT. We talked about a lot of things that I self-deprecated myself. Like, I'm a really big time loser and not a winner on that podcast. It's like, this is all built wherever I am in life is built on a series of failures. And I think that point hits so hard for me of embracing that and actually loving that, because I think in 2025 or 2020 all the way, it's always built on highlight reels and successes and all these things. And it's like, I'm that same person that I was at childhood, that I was at this, that I was at this. And I think whatever Ross did, I haven't sat in that chair since. I don't care about training Bryce Harper, but I haven't sat in that chair since.
Yeah.
But that's my own self-reflect, and I took it from a no-name guy like Ross McHenry, and it's like he wasn't this whatever heralded award-winning. It was a 25-year-old kid at Soccer Taco, and it's like that's why I was like, I don't give a shit where it comes from.
Yeah.
Because basically
It did what it needed to.
I already knew.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it the opposite way,
Did you think no one else saw that except for you?
except for me.
And then when
I knew
you
that.
realized someone else said it, it was like,
Right. But here's the difference. Nobody but me knows that, where everybody is going, when's Griff putting this out? When's Griff putting this out? When's Griff putting this out? Like, this has to be out now. Like, this is amazing story. I want him to rekindle going, this is going to shock the world because it's never been done. And Harrison Smith said it'll never be done again. There's nobody that's going to do what he does. You could talk to any trainer in the world and they don't have people live with you. They don't have people where you sacrifice relationships over and over again because you're so driven on that. You don't even see your mother on your birthday. You don't even take out an hour to go, Mom, come on over from 12 to 1. I can't. It's not going to be done again. And it's like, I want that fire of going, this has to be told. And I could be so full of shit and so high or whatever, but it doesn't matter what. That's how I think. And I want Griff to think that same way, because the self-deprecation also is the balance of, this is a badass documentary. It could be the same thing as like, this loser has something to say,
yeah,
not this winner.
yeah.
That's how I feel about myself. And that's authentic. And that's the boundary now of going, I'm not settling for this. I'm saying no to get to the right yeses. And I think that's where the boundaries can change and can be flexible. And that's what I was trying to talk about earlier, is your boundaries can change. Like Ross with his lady on the last show. Okay, so she calls and goes, hey, would you want to grab lunch? He could easily say,
That's new information. Yeah.
yes.
I don't think there's anything wrong with
She
changing
didn't
your
know.
mind with new information.
No, she's no shot of calling him back.
no shot. Announcing our new series coming fall
honestly,
2025.
No shot with
We
Ross
should-
McHenry and Charles Petrone.
We should have a hot seat that goes and they tell you their story, and then you like take a record of it and go, no shot.
It's like
You got a
Shark.
shot.
It's like Shark Tank.
yeah,
with your
it
dreams.
is. And they just sit up there and go, you got
But people
no shot.
need that. Like in reality, like they really do. And it's like the reality of it is, especially like you're going back to the documentary and the story. If there
Entrepreneurship's
wasn't
hard.
something there, and people were seeing it, there wouldn't be so much like why, when, how.
If I could send you text messages every day I get from parents or what, I'll start flooding them to you to going, this is different. This isn't.
Well, it's like this podcast series being Outback. It's just like there's something to it that's
Griff
just
and I
like.
do like audio and
But you
video, and
talk
you're
about, like,
yeah,
there's no-
So you want to be out in your untreated backyard with bugs and crappy lighting and
Well, it's like the
talk to us and we don't know
But it's
anything.
like you put out
and you're
the-
like, yeah, that's
you put
what I
out
want to
3
do.
or 4 of those episodes, and then you get that text like you got earlier today about how like someone of that prominence wants to come back and smoke cigars and drink and talk about life and like where they are with things, and you're just like,
But I was getting roasted for the first couple ones.
but you
it's
did
all
the-
over
but-
the
but
map.
you-
They don't
you-
know
you
what they're
weren't- you-
doing.
you didn't- it's not like you had a goal going into this, being like, this is what's going to turn.
They're
into.
too young. They don't have choices like you. Why you have them on there? Why you
You just do it. Nothing's perfect. It's
like
like
my college advisors. Like,
It's like,
why,
are
why
these
are you going to do it?
Are there
Right?
is there gonna be a bunch of
You're
significance
screwed,
that comes
Charlie.
from this episode? Like, no, but I mean, like, you've helped me a lot with like a lot of shit that I've had to figure out. But it's also like you have to, like, every television show and series, like, you have to create pilots and figure out like what if it's gonna work or not. And it's just like these 4 or 5 episodes is set at a ground level to being able to transition the show into something else. And it's just like you don't have an attachment of like what this is going to transpire to, but like you put out an episode every week and you're doing the work and you're putting these things out, like,
And you
stuff
put-
like that. You get a text like that, it opens up a door that like
look at the transition, fellas. So look where we go from. We go from a Chad Pennington, from a Todd Helton to a Harrison Smith, from a Jimmy Haslam, from a Jim Haslam to a Brian DeBusk, and you guys could Google all those people, to Outback with a Mike McHenry or Ross McHenry.
Yep.
Mike McHenry played with the Pirates and Rockies. We're talking about his
We've
cousin.
had him on too.
Yeah,
But every person has significance. Like,
I think so, but not a lot of podcast people do that. They were like, "Oh, it has to be this person to get me this many."
but Ross has a lot of great insight and wisdom that like he's been able
I
to
like
speak into
Ross.
the spot.
Like that's all. That's what the
That's
Outback
fine.
would, right? So our
We're
next
not
guest,
trying to succeed with like the Tom Colicchio or
Right.
whatever.
And
It's like Chad
maybe
talked
this is
about in
the
his
food
interview.
truck.
It's like you have to fall in love with the process and like what you're doing, and it's just like you don't think of like those things in the head, and it's just like you might have a president or a congressman or a senator. You don't know who's going to be back here over
Right.
the next years, but just like you have to start somewhere, and then you have to be consistent with it and put the work in.
right? And the two shows we did last Sunday were amazing. I enjoyed C.J. Newton. He was awesome. I loved his story. Loved where he is. And then we come back with this, and then next week we have somebody else on there that is pretty, solidified in his profession and Outback. Why we could still sit out back. Why I can. It doesn't last forever, so it could be back to some whatever my chaos is, but it's like, this is cool, and I enjoy it. And I hope we got around to I think we did. I think I titled some cool things with the boundaries of it could be flexible. They could change. You have to be in sync. You don't have to follow rules, and boundaries don't mean walls. I really think that's a big thing. And boundaries, as we said biblically and anywhere, are to protect yourself.
Yeah.
But also having the people around you to make sure that you're being congruent with who you need to be.
But you got to listen to it. You got to go, I get that. I'm not going to get, ass hurt. I'm not going to, whatever, instead of going, because it's, and when I do talk with Griff, I'm always like, did I help you at all? I always call
You
him the
always
next day.
ask him that every time with the phone. I'm like, you don't realize like how much of an impact you're playing on my life, even though you didn't respond to my birthday text this morning.
Hey. I got 24 hours. All right, so let me follow these up. Boundaries can bend, embracing flexibility without losing yourself. When you change, so do your boundaries. How life, culture, spiritual growth reshape what you say yes and no to. The hidden cost of people pleasing, breaking your own boundaries. You're not tired, you're over giving. Let's fix that. I love that one.
Yeah.
Why you keep breaking your own boundaries and how to stop. These are just things I was thinking about. Like,
I think that filled some of the gaps of what we were talking about.
I do
For
too.
sure.
I do too.
That I didn't know were there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously it would change. But we never talked about that.
I know, and I think it's a in sync, not a rule. And I think when it could be, you could circle back to anybody or anything in a year or 2 years and go, hell, I already have. I drew boundaries a month ago, and I'm talking to other people that I didn't like. You're gone. You're out of my life, and it's like,
And so maybe she is flying in from New Jersey.
maybe
Come on down.
let's go.
Come on down.
Down to the Smoky Mountains.
Come on down south of the Mason-Dixon
Let's
line.
go. I love it, guys. This is amazing. We have the lights on.
We look so dark in the camera.
Yeah.
It's
Griff's
good.
gonna color treat this.
We-
I'm gonna put the night
You can
vision
do it.
goggles on it. It's gonna be like green.
Do the night vision.
Well, I mean, we had some people stop by that held this up, but that's good. We got some camaraderie with the guys. Yeah, it was nice.
So I guess we got in the deck right now. Hopefully Tony V next week. So
Yeah. Let's go, Tony V.
let's go out back.
We get it. You're out recruiting California, but hey, you hit me up. Let's get some meatballs and Italian sausage, Sunday gravy out next
Hope they don't
Sunday.
drug test him when he gets home.
Chop
hope
it out
not.
back.
I hope not. Chopping out back with Tony V. Tony Vitello.
I'm looking forward to it.
That'll be fun. All right, guys. Man, this has been a blast. August 10th, 2025, Sunday night. You could hear the circadian rhythms going.
Thanks for the food. Thanks for having us on.
Thank you for the birthday dinner,
Hey,
Chaz.
we still got to eat some desserts and drink some espresso.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we got to finish. And, hey, Griff's the one that said you got to be consistent. Let's go.
Hey.
I know every Sunday he's like, for the love of God, please don't hit me up. Please don't hit me up.
No, I love it. You texted me today. I was the first person to respond. I didn't even know who it was, what we were doing,
know,
and I'm like, boom.
I didn't want to bombard you because then
It doesn't matter how I feel. If I'm in an honor and a commitment, I'm going to be there. And I get really excited about these because of the community and camaraderie.
I love it. And I go to Whole Foods. I go with Azzy, my grandson. We shop. We
You
get our
opening
foods.
our home to us and allowing us to do this.
It's
is
amazing.
Like, it's something that like we'll both look back on later in our lives being like, wow, like it's something we get to look forward to every Sunday. Thank you, Charlie, for allowing us into your home.
I love it. And thank you for being part of my birthday. And we're not guaranteed tomorrow. So you got one more. That's my next podcast. One more. If you had one more day.
As Rocky Balboa says, there is no tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
Apollo
Let's give him
Creed.
that
Apollo Creed.
espresso because I will be up awake until tomorrow.
Hello, for JJ. Great, you just busted me on the New Jersey thing. Good job.